let's introduce ourselves while you're looking for
Sure,
things there. Okay,
absolutely.
I'll give you a couple of minutes.
Go for it. I'm going to solo you.
Okay, awesome. Rah-rah's in the house. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. I am stealing the thunder from Dr. Energy. My name is
I'm still here.
Catherine. Yeah, I know you are. My name is Catherine Sarah Myers, and I'm live streaming today from Niagara, beautiful Niagara on the Lake, Ontario, Canada. We are really excited to be here today. Think about doing things in 5-minute increments. Think about learning a language in 5 minutes. Think about speaking to one another in 5 minutes. And there's my awesome partner
Joe, Dr. Energy Piazza here.
in the house with
In the
us.
house.
So imagine if we broke things up into 5-minute segments, like said, let's do this for 5 minutes. And then, let's do our social media for 5 minutes. And then let's speak to our clients for 5 minutes. Well, let's talk about the presentation aspect of, why do we need to have any structure to anything really? Like, what is the point of saying, in this 5 minutes, I'm going to tell you these things? Why can't I just
Right.
randomly speak off the hip? And why can't I just go down, one rabbit hole and down another in 5 minutes? What's wrong with doing that?
We're going to talk today about structuring and using 5-minute increments and what you can get across in 5 minutes and what you can hear or understand in 5 minutes. And the importance of that is that why you need to have a structure of some sort is if you're just start talking off the cuff with no real structure to it, and you go off on a tangent this way and then another tangent this way and another one this way, it's very difficult for your audience to follow you. And our audience wants to be with us. And if they can't follow us, they're going to be checking out. They're going to pick up their phones and start, texting or doing something else or checking their email or whatever it is. Or they'll close their camera down so they're doing something else while you're on a Zoom call because you're not leading them well. So that structure helps create that framework on which you can hang and put your content and gives it a solid foundation on which to live.
And that being said, when we do our podcast, there's no video, so it's audio only. So we're capturing our audience in those increments up to 58 minutes, 55 minutes without any video. So we're doing it solely on our voices, on the audio, and we're not able to use all the other bells and whistles. So today we're going to talk to you about being in front of a camera, and then we can probably segue into when you're not in front of a camera. But in the case of today, like if we I'll take a timer and we'll give you some examples of what happens when you're doing something for 5 minutes. And if you want to share, say you want to share a story, for example, say you want to go into a networking group and you want to tell a little bit about your service or your product, or, you want to tell about this life-changing, I'm not being sarcastic, this life-changing event and how your life, has changed because of this experience. Yet, as much as you want to tell people about this life-changing event, you want to be able to capture their attention when you tell them. And if you're umming and hemming and hawing and not sure, and you're looking for your words, it's like fishing without a worm. It's not even like fishing anymore. It's like you're just not going to catch anybody. So when you do have a story to tell, think about what it is.
Right.
Remember, nobody knows what detail you left out. So if you're going to think about 5 minutes, and I know you're going to talk more about this, Joe.
Yep.
Think about, what do you want to say? So throw all the cards on the table. No send out cards, pun intended. You want to give your name. You want to give your company. You want to give people a call to action. You want to tell the story. We call it the meat and potatoes of the story.
Right.
And for those vegan, you call it the whatever you want to call it.
The non-meat substitute.
Non-meat substitute and non-potatoes if you don't want the carbs. So I recommend that you think about all the things that you want to put in that story before you start structuring it, because you're going to give 57,000 details about the first point and you're never going to get to the end.
Right.
So let's throw a story together. Talk see if we can do, I'll take notes. Let's do a story. Well, what do we want to tell a story about?
Let's tell a story about, since we were talking about it in the opening, food. And yes, Scott, I see that you said you need to hear this. Yeah, a lot of us do. So let's tell a story about food.
Okay, let's write the elements of what we want to put in the story. So we'll do the structure.
Okay,
Food,
let's
food is
talk
the
about
topic.
food as a topic. So I think
Okay.
one of the points could be current food debates.
Okay, so let's put how many talking points we want to have before we identify
Okay,
them.
so
we
let's
want
have
to put,
three main talking points
okay, 3 talking points,
with
topic.
2 to 3 subpoints for each main point.
Okay, let's see if we have time for that. Okay, then we want to do a closing and a call to
And
action.
a call to action at the end. Yeah.
So closing, call to action. Okay, we have 5 minutes. So let's look at the topic. Will take, let's say, well, we have to do an intro, right? And we have to do a story.
So there's a good formula. Usually you want to take up to 10% of your overall time for your intro and the same amount for your call to action or your conclusion. So that's about 50 seconds to a minute, 10 to 12%. So say you've got 1 minute for your intro, 1 minute for your call to action or conclusion. So that's 2 minutes gone. So we've got 3 minutes or so for our story.
Right, so 3 minutes. So the intro would include the topic and the call to action, and the closing would be together. So, okay, 3 minutes, 3 talking points with 2 to 3 subtopics.
So now you can see, okay, 2 to 3 subtopics isn't probably going to work. So we need to pare that down to maybe 1 supporting subpoint per main point.
Right. So let's say we want to have 3 minutes, and in the 3 minutes, we're going to have 3 topics with the subpoint. That gives us 30 seconds. We're going to be talking fast. Right. Let's cut it down.
Actually, you don't need to talk fast, surprisingly.
Let's cut it down to 2, since there's 2 of us here and we might talk at a different pace. So we have 1 minute for the topic and the opening. We have 2 talking points with a subpoint each. And then we have a closing and a call to action. Okay. So for our audience, there's our 5-minute structure. We're going to put this together on the spot right now. We have not rehearsed this. We did not talk about it. We're doing it here. So any faux pas that happen, that's
live. That's live video, baby.
That's what happened. So, okay, a minute. And then let's just say we're going to do a minute 30 for the first point, and then a minute 30 for the second point.
Okay.
So that way we can time it out, and then a minute at the end.
So,
all right.
So are we going to tell a 5-minute story, or you want to do a combine? The
let's
two of us are going
to
combine on a 5-minute story.
Let's make it hard, really.
Okay.
Hard.
So let's up the difficulty level, right?
Exactly.
So why don't you start with the intro and the and the introducing the topic and sort of some sort of memorable statement about the topic, and take the first point. And then I'll take the second point and do the closing.
Okay, so I'm going to do 1 minute and then 1 minute and a half. But I'm going to identify when the minute is up, because I would really like to do that and then maybe talk about it. So I don't know if you want us to just do the whole story first.
Just do the whole story first, and just mark where the 1 minute was, and just say 1 minute. Or
okay, awesome.
Like that,
All right, awesome. Who
I'm going to give you the
likes to eat? Do you like to eat? Well, I made this amazing eggplant parmesan for Dr. Energy. And I know that when I talk to him about it, he just thinks about what it tastes like for him. Today, I'm going to share a little bit of how I have my Sicilian secret sauce recipes to make your mouth water with eggplant parmesan. We are Dr. Energy, and Rara is in the house. And today we're going to come to you with some hot cooking tips, Sicilian style, from New York all the way around to Toronto. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. Imagine you're in the store and you're squeezing those eggplants. Did you ever do that? And you have to find the right one. You have to see how heavy it is. You have to smell it a little bit. And you have to make sure that it's not too soft. Okay, that's my 1 minute mark. And now I'm going to pick the 2 eggplants that I think are going to be amazing. So once I understand the color, the variety, I'm going to imagine what this is like. I'm going to bring this eggplant in my mind right into the dish where I'm serving Dr. Energy, where he is feeling like he is so taken care of, because I am making this with love, and I'm making this with power, and I'm making this without any sugar. I am making sure that this is sweet based on our energy. In this story, here's what you're going to do. You're going to go to your fridge, take out what you have, and follow along with me. So we're going to chop this eggplants up. We're going to make nice big rings. We're going to make these circles, and we're going to do something different today. We're going to steam them, and we're going to steam them for about 7 minutes. Then we're going to take our tomato sauce in a cast iron pan. And we're going to put this together. I'll come back to this recipe a little bit later. When you're talking about food and when you're sharing with someone what it's going to taste like, let's go down the road to memory lane. Maybe you've taken a trip to Italy. Maybe you've walked along the beach and then come home and had that made for you. Maybe you got off a plane like I used to and have it made for me right on the table, the way my mom used to make it for me. And how good that feels and how comfortable it feels to have that comfort food. It's all yours, Dr. Energy. We're at 2.5 minutes. All right.
I love comfort.
We don't see you. All right. Little glitch in technology.
There we go.
Okay, go ahead. It's all yours.
Comfort food is so amazing. It helps us bring back so many memories of childhood, of grandmothers, of aunts, of uncles, of big family dinners at family holidays where we're all sitting around the table having our favorite foods. And those were some of my fondest memories come from. And it's for this reason probably that some of my favorite spices, of course, growing up Italian of Sicilian origin, is, oregano and basil, lots of pepper. Those types of flavors have always been prominent in so many different dishes that my family has partaken of over the years. And this is, some of the food debates that are out there. You can go on the internet and see, pineapple on pizza, yay or nay, or hot dog sandwiches, yes or no. And we could debate all of these things all the time. The truth is, we all have our favorite preferences. We all have the stuff, the food, the flavors, the savory, the salty, the sweet, the sour, the edamame or the protein taste that we all like the best, or in whatever combination of those flavors that we prefer. And a lot of it comes down to where we come from and what we grew up with. I know I have many friends who grew up in other places in the world, like in Trinidad, in Sweden, in South Africa, in China, in Venezuela, and all of these places, the foods, the spices can be slightly different. In fact, if you go and look for West Indian food, the flavors are going to be different depending on where the food is coming from. So for instance, a Jamaican patty is very different flavors from a Trinidadian patty. The spices that are used are slightly different and in slightly different amounts, and it comes out tasting different. And I know this because I've tasted all the different ones and have friends from all of these places. And so when we start to cook our favorite flavors for ourselves, it brings back these memories. It may not bring it back for others, or they may not even like it as much as we do because they didn't grow up with the flavors, or it's a new flavor to them and they're not sure what to make of it. So when you are considering making your favorite food, or if you're looking for some new foods and you would like to try some of the recipes that we have here, I invite you to go over to b-u.network/resources and check out some of the recipes on our website. Catherine.
There we go. Good job, Dr. Energy. So we were over a little bit, but time is of the essence. That's on the spot, creating a 5-minute presentation. Unrehearsed. We covered the topic, we covered a closing with a call to action, and we gave 2 talking points, and we gave subtopics in that. Whether you tell us how it felt. Tell us what you were listening to. Did it captivate you? Did it capture you? I see it made Nailbender hungry. I made some comments while Dr. Energy was talking.
Well. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. I was commenting to you. So let us know how that felt to you. That was 5 minutes. So when you have an audience and you're doing that solo, obviously you have more control. Like we were over because we were going back and forth with some of the technology there. But let's just say the most important thing about your 5-minute speech is that you stick to 5 minutes. Don't in Toastmasters and what we're going to ask you to do later with us, we're going to ask you to keep, one criteria, keep it to the time. That's important. So we covered all bases. We walked people through an experience. We did a real experiential experiential presentation, unrehearsed. So now let's break it apart. Let's talk about that. The topic, the intro, I did that in 44 seconds, and then I started to go into my 1 minute because I wanted more time for the talking point.
Right, which you can do. That's a valid strategy. Yeah.
Right. So I wanted to point that out. That's where I sort of said, where I was at 1 minute, because I was already into the talking point. So where you can borrow some seconds from. And you don't have to stay in that place for that exact time. Just know when you start, know where you need to finish. And that's the most important thing, because if you don't finish on time, if you go over, you could be dinged, your story could be cut, and your call to action could be lost. And people might just feel like you're going on too long if they know it's a 5-minute presentation. So in this case, what we did is we divided and conquered. We took half the story, not knowing what we were going to do. We've done this enough times to know that we can pick up on it. And we talked about food earlier. And we can make this a business presentation. So why don't we talk a little bit about, if this were about our business, let's talk about if it were BU. We would, unless you want to comment on what we just did before I go into that. Sorry.
No, keep going.
Yes. So if we're going to talk about our business, what we would do is we would introduce ourselves. So if we were presenting as a team, we would either introduce ourselves or introduce one another. We would develop that strategy. So we'd say who we are. But remember this, you don't have to say who you are the first 10 seconds. You can say who you are 30 seconds later. You don't have to say, hello, my name is, and this is what I do, because it's not that important to blurt it out unless you own that company. And we do. We don't say, my company is BU. We don't say that because it's really a bit mundane. We might want to demonstrate something first, and we can say who we are. We have some optics that gives you an idea that we have something else going on. So that might be where we want to put the focus and attention. I believe when we say, hello, my name is, and my company is something that people expect. It's great when you're doing a lyric and I say rah rah and everyone goes is in the house. That it's great then. You really want to capture their attention. So think about, unless it's a live stream and you want to say that to people because you want your audience to understand who you are, even then, we're pretty much rebels in this scenario.
We are not rebels. No,
we are not going to do it the same way each time, because we want you to come back and we want you to be on the edge of your chair, and we really want you to feel that you are going to get entertained, not just presented to where we're going to give you an upsell somewhere, because in every presentation, there is a selling feature, and the call to action is to do something. It's to get you to do something. So let's talk about that, Dr. Energy.
Sure.
We introduce ourselves. Let's do it unconventionally. Let's not say, hi, my name is, because you and I both roll our eyes when we hear that.
Yeah, it's... There are different ways to do it. And one of the ways that I like to do it is, especially as I like to sit in the room when I go to, for instance, a networking type of an event or some event where people are going to be standing up and introducing themselves. I like to be in a spot in the room where I don't have to be the first one. And it's not because I'm afraid of going first. I like to be able to listen to what other people are saying and what they're doing. And then when I get to stand up, I want to be able to reference back to what somebody else has said. It shows that I was listening and that I'm engaged. So, for example, when I get up and I do, like a way I start the streams here, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, wherever and whenever you are. All of a sudden, just that energy, people are all of a sudden paying attention. Like you could even do it, I've done it at morning breakfast type meetings where I do the whole, the Robin Williams, Good Morning Vietnam, good morning. And then I name whatever the group is that I'm speaking to. And it wakes people up for one thing. Some people who are not morning people maybe don't appreciate it quite so much, but it gets people's attention. And then from there, people are expecting me to say, "Hi, I'm Joe, Dr. Angie Piazza, blah, 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 blah." And instead, I then start to tell a story. I introduce a topic, maybe riffing off of what somebody else has said. For example, because I'm also trained as a chiropractor, I will say, I will maybe somebody in the group has been talking about some health product that they have. And then I'll take that and build my whole 1 minute or 2 minute or 5 minute, whatever time that I have built on that, giving an actual health tip to people. And then the call to action will be, if you want to know more, or to learn more about this and see how it can help you, get in touch with either myself or the person that had the product. And so now it's not about me, it's about somebody else.
I love that. I mean, think about this. Wrap your head around taking your presentation. Don't take the bottle and read the ingredient list and expect people to understand what that is. Use the people's energy, use other people's energy in the room. If I want to tell you about what I do, the best way I can do it is to give you a peek into who I am, what type of person I am. If I want to tell you that I really enjoy love stories and I have a great story to tell you about my husband and I met, and I'll do that another time. That's enough. That's 5, 6 seconds. That's all I have to tell you. I don't have to go into the detail of what happened in my life and how I felt and why I went there. There's not enough time. If you're giving a longer presentation, by all means, if you're doing a TEDx, you're doing a talk for 10, 12 minutes, in a 1 minute, in a 3 minute, even in a 5 minute, take a breath. Let your audience feel what you're saying and doing. Look at them. Give them a minute to pause. And do not go, don't do that. Try your best. Try your very best not to put filler words in and to lose your place, because it's your story. If you don't know it, how is anybody else ever going to follow you?
Right. Exactly. And one of the best tips that I've received as a Toastmaster was in the play, and I heard Joseph Clough talk about this the other night, was in those places where you're about to say or ah, just pause. Be quiet. Don't say anything instead. And it still gives the audience the confidence that you're considering your words, that you're thinking about exactly what you want to say, and it comes off sounding just a little bit more, for lack of a better word, intelligent, considered. And see, I just did it there. The occasional and is okay, but when it is every other word, some of us who grew up in teenagers and a little bit older in the 80s, the whole Valley Girl thing, like totally, eh? Like totally, wow, totally, 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 like, totally, like. And it got really annoying really fast. And so when you're constantly using those filler words, it is annoying and distracting. So when we can pause just for a moment to consider the next words, the next phrases that we want to do, or pull some ideas that just came to us in the moment that can prove our point or can be a good jumping off point for a planned tangent, then it just all comes together better.
Good point. And if you are going to pull something off live, like ask someone to send you a message or send you a text, think about your instructions. Please do not confuse people. If you say, send me your name in a text me your name. If you say, text me, and then they text you and you have no idea what that means because they're not in your phone, be crystal clear. If you say, I'm going to give 2 people something, did the first 3 people remember what you said? Because you will lose credibility by not following your own thoughts. So we're going to talk about this live today and give you an idea of putting something else together. and then see if it doesn't make sense. You're going to tell that person. You're going to tell us if we ask you to do something and you don't understand it, and you may not do it after that, and you may not actually. We would hope it wouldn't happen, but you may not forgive us. So we don't have too many chances to ask for forgiveness. Some people say, well, don't ask for permission, ask for forgiveness. When you're doing a live stream, you really want to make sure that people are with you. So let's talk about what you want to talk about, Dr. Energy, and then let's do our, I'll follow you.
Okay. Would it be useful for you to have a document that with some structure of how to lay out that 5-minute presentation that Catherine and I did? So it would list the introduction with your topic, with your each of the sub points and the call to action. We're putting something where we can. I've already got a form something like that, and I can put it together and we can give it to you for free next week on the live stream. So if that would be something that would be useful for you and you think you would benefit from it and receive value from it, we're happy to put that together.
Awesome. For a 5-minute presentation, right?
Right. And it can be adjusted. Altered and adjusted for shorter or longer presentations as well. So if that's of interest to you, put that, just comment yes in the comments.
Does it count if I comment yes?
Oh. Sure, absolutely. Start us off.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Okay. Cindy says yes as well. Nail says yes, please.
Okay.
I like that. You put the please in. I like that.
Oh, that's
You're
cool.
welcome.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, that's good. I won't do that. I want to pay attention to you. Okay. I'll do it after.
Scott needs something like that for his intro video. Sure. Okay.
Thank you for being here with us and for letting others know that we're here streaming, giving you the best of the best that we can, because we're here to give you a series. This was part 3 of a series for 5 minutes, but we're not done with this series, right? We're going to
one more part.
Next week we're going to give you, think about it,
part 4.
Part 4. And 10 minutes. So let's leave on a high note, Dr. Energy.
Absolutely. All right. We'll see everybody next week for our part 4 with 10 minutes of a presentation slot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Ciao, everybody.